السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. باب الحق الزوجي على المرأة. We continue our book Riyad-us Saliheen by Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayh. This is the 35th chapter of the book, and the chapter is with regards to the rights of the husband and the responsibility of the wife. We have been covering this chapter for almost a week now. We're coming closer towards the end of the chapter. And the hadith for tonight, there are two ahadith. The first hadith is when Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لو كنت الأمر أحدا أن يسجد لأحد لأمرت المرأة أن تسجد لزوجها أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام رواه الترمذي وقال حديث حسن صحيح. وعن أم سلمة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أيما المرأة ماتت وزوجها عنها راض دخلت الجنة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام رواه الترمذي وقال حديث حسن. So two riwayah and two tradition, and the first hadith is a famous hadith known to many, and of course it's reminded to in many incidents. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu reports, and he mentions that the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if I were to order anyone to do sajda to anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I would have ordered a woman to do sajda before her husband. This is a famous hadith that we have come across many, many times. Just as a quick reminder, brothers and sisters, if you remember the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, in the chapter of Surah Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to us that a group of 11 brothers, the mother and the father went to visit Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. And in his dream, he had seen the 11 stars, the sun and the moon doing sajda to him. And we also know that this particular dream of Yusuf alayhi salam was actually an interpretation that occurred near the end of the chapter itself. So fuqaha and ulama have mentioned this, and they have said that in the past ummah, in the nations of the past, it was allowed and it was permissible to do sajda of ta'zim, to do sajda of respect to others. The sajda of the brothers and the parents of Yusuf alayhi salam was not sajda of ibadah. There is no sajda of ibadah for anyone except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the past ummah or the past nations, the sense of respect and dignity was shown through sajda, which was not for ibadah, not for worship, but in a sense of respect and dignity and honor. And that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that if it was for the sense of showing respect and dignity, because we know that there is no sajda to anyone except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the extent, brothers and sisters, to remember this, a lot of time, and forgive me if this comes a little harsh, but sometimes we even do salam to others and we bow down a little bit. Ulama have mentioned that never bow down and do salam. This is from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Jukkar salam. There is humility and humbleness. That's very good. Humility and humbleness is very good. But not to a form of even prostrating or doing sajda or bowing down, if anyone, except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, subhanallah, arrogance and takabbur is not allowed in our deen. Humbleness and humility is, but there is no bowing down in front of anyone except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this ummah, there is not even a sajda of ta'zim. Forget about the sajda of ibadah. There's not even a sajda of ta'zim for anyone except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala respect. And if it was anything, it would be for a woman towards the husband. Meaning, this is how close Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept this relationship between husband and wife. And it comes both ways, right? It comes both ways. If you go back to the previous chapter that we talked about, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to the men, and he said that if you want to define the greatest person walking on the face of this earth, is a person who's good to his family, meaning whose wife can guarantee the manners and akhlaq of that individual. So it plays on both sides, right? And akhlaq and manners are best shown to those that we live our entire lives with, right? It's very easy to have a specific way of speaking and behavior and demeanor with people that we don't frequently meet with, right? We meet them sometimes an hour or so and that, but a person that we spend our entire lives with, right? And that's why when the Sahabi Anas radiallahu anhu said, he said, I lived 10 years with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from the age of 8, or some say 10, that he lived for 10 years with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he says, after 10 years of my khidmah and service while I was a young child, making many mistakes, never did he ever once scolded at me or screamed at me or said, why did you do something like this? Meaning the way that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's approach was towards correction and rectification was so beautiful. One of the most important ways that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would show that he did not like something, according to Shama'il at-Tirmidhi, the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would turn his face away from something. This was one of his actions to show that he was not in happiness to a certain action or amal itself. So let's go back to the hadith itself. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, if I were to order anyone to do sajda to himself before any other person, I would have ordered a woman to do sajda to her, of herself towards her husband. So a few things to remember in this particular hadith. Number one, in the past ummah, there was sajda of ta'zeem and respect, such as the nation of Yusuf alayhi salam that we hear from the Quran. There was no sajda of ibadah even in the past ummah allowed in the true faith itself. When we come to this ummah, the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there is no sajda of ibadah, there is no sajda of ta'zeem and respect as well. To the extent that when we do salam and greet one another, ulama have mentioned from amongst the adab and from the prophetic sunnah itself is not even to bow down. Yes, be humble, show humility and humbleness for the sake of Allah, but that's against the sunnah, the tradition itself. And in this particular hadith and riwayah, it shows a sense of akhlaq and manners between spouses. Both sides, husband and wife, most must show akhlaq and manners to one another. And from the aspect of women, to show an utmost respect and dignity, in their life towards the person that Allah has chosen to be their husband and spouse. And subhanAllah, true happiness, brothers and sisters, comes in our lives when our homes become full of khair and barakah and happiness and joy. When there is deen, when there is respect, when there is dignity, then for people, this dunya becomes Jannah for them, right? Their homes become Jannah and paradise. You walk inside your home all day of difficulty, the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that, oh Allah, make our spouses the coolness of our eyes. Rabbana hablana min azwajina wa dhurriyatina qurrata a'yunin. Oh Allah, make them the coolness of our eyes. And how do we become coolness of our eyes? With our akhlaq and our manners and our respect towards one another. May Allah give us tawfiq and ability to practice this in our lives, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka.